Hi, world. It's Brandy and Shannon here with the Thriving Relationship. And tonight we are talking stress response.
We are. This one is, I was just telling Brandy, she's probably going to have to cut me off because this one is near and dear to my heart. Because if you can figure out how to have conflict safely, that is key. So there's research out there, and the percentage isn't coming to me, but situational violence, as far as domestic violence, that is situational, a fight that escalates to the point where something happens that doesn't usually happen, is pretty high. I think it's in the 70 percentile. Do you remember from the training? It's high. It's way higher than I thought it was. And so we're trying to help people both in relationship, and then I think it's also important for the parent-child relationship to be able to take timeouts when you need timeouts. Where do you want to go with it?
So stress response, what is stress response? What are the very first things we can think about to help us kind of navigate stress response? Well, for me, when I'm paying attention to my own stress response, what are those physiological things that happen in my body that tell me, oh, it's getting intense, right? My body gives me all of these cues that says things are changing, stuff is shifting, you're getting upset, right? And so I feel that in my heart rate, right? My heart rate goes up. Oftentimes my ears will turn red. They get hot really quick when it happens.
Yes. I breathe shallow.
Yeah, shallow breathing, or even the shaky. Sometimes I get the shaky, kind of quivering type breath, or my voice will kind of be a little shaky.
Yeah. And I have heat rising. It starts at the toes, and it just starts moving forward. And what I find in myself is that if I don't catch it and take a break, the heat will rise. I'll start to turn red. And if it gets, I always laugh and tell my kids, if it gets to my mouth, we're in trouble. Because that's when I go into fight response.
There's no shutting it off.
There's no,
once it's up there.
Once you tip over. So Dan Siegel has a great way to explain, which is, I think we taught it in a parenting class. So we have the reptilian brain, which is right here.
Hey,
and then we have our frontal lobe, frontal cortex, which is rational thought, able to problem solve, able to compromise.
This is the part that helps us make good choices.
How we stay in good connection with people. So once we hit that stress response, so some people go into fight, some people go into flight, there's freeze, and then there's faint. And I always think about the goats. So, and it depends on the situation. I know that I've gone into fight at times. Fight's probably the one I go into the most. Flight, or you'll hear people, especially in couples, you hear they start to say, I want a divorce, or they're trying to leave the house. Freeze is a little bit more subtle. It can just be a shutdown. I'm
either a fight or a freeze. My husband calls it my ghosting when I ghost.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm either fight or usually
I've never fainted. Have you fainted?
No, never. I'd like to meet that. No, I wouldn't. I mean, that's not to be making light of.
No, so we want to normalize. We all do this.
Yes.
This is the reason we do it. Back in caveman days, we needed these responses to be able to run from tigers, to be able to stay safe. But it really does. Once we flip into stress response, we are back to that reptilian brain.
Yeah, you are running from dinosaurs. That is exactly what your brain is trying to do, and so it makes it absolutely impossible to have a rational conversation with anybody.
Right. Because you are scanning the world for threats.
Yes.
So I always think about it, I'm a cup, but I think about it in terms of tunnel vision. So instead of being able to zoom out and understand well, my husband probably isn't meaning to hurt me in this moment as far as with his words or with his ideas. When I go into tunnel vision, I'm pretty sure the entire world is against me. I'm scanning for threats. Right. And that can be my child, that can be my husband, that's anyone that's around when I'm in stress response. And so a big piece of this is you need to tap into what your stress response feels like.
Yes.
Where in the body do you feel it? Do you get, some people talk about tingles in their hands. It's different for all of us. But can you catch it before it goes into the full response and you lose your ability to problem solve, to have rational thought, and go take a timeout.
Yeah.
Timeouts are not just for kids.
No, timeouts are for all of us. And you can like put yourself in the timeout. If you're not as familiar, if it's like, well, I don't really,
I don't know
Shannon,
what
you're saying like you all know all these things about your body, like, but I don't know. So something I would ask you maybe to try out then is to help you become a little more in tune with it is when you're alone, okay? When you have,
you don't want to set this up with your husband.
No, I do not want to set this up to like actually go have a real full-on stress response. When you're alone, when there are not going to be people around and you have an opportunity to kind of be by yourself, pull up into your mind, into your heart, into your guts, the last big fight that you had, the last big offense that you felt, and just tap into that for a minute. And your body will start to give you those telltale signs of what it feels like when it's first starting.
Right.
And that's what I want you to be able to do. And then, kind of shut it down and remind yourself, oh, this is just in my imagination. This is just in my mind. Like I can back it away, because I don't want to send you down the road. But really, we have to be able to learn that we need to feel what that feels like early on. Because again, like Shannon said, once the reds to her mouth, you're not stopping it. Like you're full on in that attack defense mode.
Right.
And so you have to get in line with understanding what happens to me early on. The breathing, when my breathing starts changing, like that's my biggest cue to be like, okay, I want to talk about this, but I need to take a time out because I want to be able to talk about this effectively. So I'm gonna go to my room, or I'm gonna go take a hot bath, or I'm gonna go make tea, or whatever it is. Like I do that, and sometimes I can see Brandon starting to do his thing, and as long as I'm not dysregulating, if it's not stress responding me, like I can support him in it. Like the further down this road I go, the more I understand it's like, oh, he sees me as like a dinosaur. He thinks I'm T-Rex right now. Or maybe it's not me. Maybe it's, someone else that he's interacting with, or something that happened to him earlier in the day. Like the more we experience this and have that awareness, the easier it is to go like, oh, I can breathe, and I can say like, hey, how can I help you? Right? Like I understand more now how to kind of support him while he's going through that struggle, so that we don't accidentally end up with a huge fight that we didn't even need to be in, right? Like, because it's just the biological, it's just hormones and stuff happening.
It is your body and its natural response. And there's so much shame, I think, especially when I talk with couples about what happens when you're in that response.
Oh yeah,
and so we say awful things. We do things that are out of character. And then when you're trying to repair that, it's like, well, you said you wanted a divorce. And it's like, well, when I'm in my rational brain, I actually don't want a divorce. But in that moment, I said that. And so it is, the understanding that we do say terrible things. I will watch my mouth go. It's almost visual for me. Like things are just pouring out of it, and I am wanting to pull that back. And luckily, I do. The second part of this is you have to know what calms that down. So for me, it is, my kids refer to it as my magic bath. Hot water calms me down because it helps me to breathe again. So you find how to breathe. Is that a breathing practice? Is that meditation? Is that walking outside and you go outside in the fresh air and it automatically, I know when I walk out, I take a deep breath and that changes your breathing pattern. As soon as you take deep breaths, your body starts to get the signal of, oh, okay, the tiger's not here anymore, or the dinosaur. And I can start to calm down. And so it's up to each one of us to figure out, what is that thing? How do I calm down? How do you calm down?
I calm down, probably some sweets. Sweets are helpful for me. And reading, if I can reading is really good. I am a good escape person. I really like to find ways to escape. And so seriously, I can sit down with a Harry Potter book, and that will take me right where I need to go. I just go into my little magical place, and immediately, I go to Hogwarts, and I'm part of Gryffindor. No, yeah, maybe. I probably have a shirt or two. That cooking or cleaning. Cleaning is another one actually that really helps me. I like to organize when I'm really upset, and I think it's because it
I need you
gives
to
me,
come over. When
yeah,
you're
right? Like,
upset.
we'd like to tap into your skill set when you're really upset.
Yeah.
I think for me, it gives me a beginning and an end.
Mm-hmm.
I can do something, and at the end of organizing, like, it's like, oh, I did it.
Yeah.
I pat myself on the back, and then kind of all that emotion seems to dissipate.
Be able to calm. So the big piece is it takes roughly 20 to 30 minutes to calm down your physiology.
Mm-hmm.
So as a couple, what you want to figure out is you need a word. Is it timeout? Is it we need a break? And then at that point, you need to move away from each other.
Yes.
Don't stay in the same room. So I go get in the tub, Brad needs to go, and he goes mountain biking. So you get some space, 20 to 30 minutes to get your physiology to calm down, and then you can re-enter the conversation with rational thought.
Right.
You will not get anywhere if you stay in that. One person is generally in fight, one's in flight. You end up in this awful pattern where one's trying to leave and the other one's chasing them down.
Yes.
And that's what gets us into the more dangerous circumstances where the fights go terribly wrong.
Yes. So Amanda, with what you're sharing right now, the escape and the, like, I always call it kind of running
Yeah.
away for a break. The very, like, and maybe you already do this. Sometimes when I talk to people, people are like, see, that's what I'm trying to do when I just walk out the front door.
Right.
One of the really key elements to not make the situation worse is to call it, hey, I'm taking a timeout. Let's take a timeout.
Right.
Right. And we actually verbally, we make it very clear, hey, we're going to take a timeout, and it's not just one person running out the door
Right.
and not coming back. So we take a timeout, and then we'll come back to this. We'll come back to it after we put the kids down. We'll come back to it after dinner's made.
Right.
We'll come back to it when we wake up in the morning, really whatever works for you, just generally not longer than 24 hours.
Right. So I think, and that's a Gottman,
Yeah.
underneath the Gottman method, which they work with couples all over the world.
Yes.
But they say don't have the conversation earlier than 20 to 30 minutes and don't wait more than 24 hours. Because what you see is that, so if I say, hey, I need a timeout, and we're right in the middle of really rich discussion, and Brad really wants an answer, and I'm like, nope, I got to have a timeout, and I head for the bathtub. And I'm going to just try to never bring it back up because that was really uncomfortable.
That might be a tactic.
And I don't want to go there again. The issue is that next time we get into conflict and I say I need a timeout, Brad will be like, nope, you don't get one. This is the cycle that causes problems. So you honor the timeout and then you bring the conversation back.
Try not to go to bed mad. Yeah, and I say that one, if it works for you, great. If not, like, I know, like, I worked with a couple that was his way to cope. That was his go-to way to come down. Yep, he could go down, he could lay down and go right to sleep. Bless his wife's heart. I do not know how she could handle it, right? Because I get that idea of, like, how could you just sleep? Because there's no way I could sleep through it. But yeah, and then Carrie. Escape ever not okay? Is it not during stress response? Do you have a bag of licorice with you while you hide in the pantry from the kids? Is that the type of escape we're talking about?
Oh, yeah. I think it's what you need to do to calm your physiology. I mean, we prefer, and to be very honest, like, we do not want you escaping with alcohol because you add stress response. And the worst stories I hear, and I don't know if you have similar experience, which is, like, fights really get out of hand when you add alcohol.
Throw a substance into it.
So numbing with licorice feels safer to me than numbing with alcohol, but I prefer that you find something that is, of course, ultimately I want it to be healthy.
Yeah.
So breathing, walking, baths, yoga, those all feel healthy.
The gym, going for a run, right? There's lots of different ways. They don't always have to be kind of our female ways, but.
Husband Brad, maybe not a good idea to drive. So I think this is a really good point. When, if you're in the not rational problem solving brain, if we've lost our ability to be rational, driving is probably not a great plan. So if you, like, say, because our stress responses are timed differently. So maybe I have a stress response about a certain situation way quicker than Brad does. So then if Brad needs to go drive, that's okay. But you need to be able to monitor when it's okay to be behind the wheel.
Yeah.
You don't want, if you know that, you get impulsive with your driving or angry with your driving, not a good idea. Walk or pedal your bike.
Eucalyptus.
Tub time. Oh, yes. Spearmint, eucalyptus. I love, for whatever reason, peppermints are really calming for me, spearmint, eucalyptus.
Yeah.
So those can all be great.
I would love to ask
Really,
any guys or those of us with our male partners, I would love to have more insight into what are really good go-to ways for a lot of guys.
Yeah.
Not that baths and yoga and meditation couldn't be, because high five to you that do like that. You prefer the bike. Perfect. Yeah, right? But like sometimes I would like to better understand some of that. Like
Yeah,
my
what works.
husband, he goes to the gym. The gym is absolutely going to be a go-to thing for him.
Mhm.
Now that he's an FJer, he would probably go off on a road somewhere that
Right.
regular cars
Man
couldn't go
versus
really easily.
road.
Yeah, and kind of get some of the stress out that way. So
Yeah, any other ideas for,
yeah, share them in the comments later or now, or I just think anytime we can kind of pool ideas, that's helpful.
yeah, I think so. One of the big things I just experienced personally is I got this down with Brad. Like, all right, I figured out our stress response. We started calling timeouts when we
Mhm.
needed them. Really made a big difference when we had conversations to know that our brains were fully functioning. It just goes so much more smoothly.
Oh yeah.
But then I realized that my kids were having stress response. And so I don't know if this happens for anyone out there, but for me, I can end up in a verbal battle with one of my teen daughters. And I really want to win. Like my rational, I get into this like, I don't know, but I'm the only one. And I started to realize, oh, wait, what am I doing? Because my daughters would automatically want to retreat to their room.
And you would take
And
that
I
as
would take that
a
as
great FU.
defiance. Right. Like,
Yep.
don't walk away from me. You can't walk away from me. And so one day I realized, like, what am I doing? I'm trying to get them to use rational thought because, I'm making great points as to why this is the way it is. And they're not taking it in. Shocking.
Yeah. They're
And
in
so-
stress response.
Monitor the kids and have a conversation. The best way to handle this is to really open this up for everyone in the family. Talk about stress response. Talk about the ability to call timeouts. And then once you call a timeout, honor that with everybody, regardless of their age. And then what I found is that the girls will just kind of come back after 20 to 30 minutes and say, hey, Mom, sorry about that. Can we talk about it? It's like magic.
Yeah. Amanda, I love that you're doing this already with the toddler. She
Mhm.
goes to coloring, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, teaching them, part of that conversation is not only do we have to figure out what works for us, but helping the kids to understand, like, what are some healthy ways that you can turn to?
Right.
Is that journaling? Is it coloring? Is it music? What is it?
Yeah. Yeah, this is a phenomenal skill to have as early on as possible, right? I can think of lots of different poor interpersonal encounters I had as a teenager, as a young adult, not really understanding how to deal or even what was happening.
Mm-hmm.
Brandy. Husband has to have it solved right away, and I need the break. Yeah, but he will clean things, which, let's be honest, is hard to stay mad when he's washing the wall.
Yeah, I think there's a patience element, and I understand that, as far as, like, say I'm not in stress response and Brad is, and I really want to keep talking about it, and he knows that he needs that time out. And so once you do have to create space, you have to be able to give each other the space when it's needed. And if you get cleaning on the side, it's always positive.
I can see that, like, shaping the wrong thing, right?
Yeah. Let's stir things up.
Pick a fight again. No, just kidding.
So homework for everyone. We're giving homework this week.
Challenge. We'll call it a challenge.
That sounds better, which is talk about your stress response with each other. Talk about what you feel. Do you feel it, does the heat rise for you like it does for me? Or are you someone who, like, it clicks really fast? A lot of times if you have trauma history at all, things click very quickly. And so that's a sign that you have some, potential work to be able to do through mindful movement or through yoga to get your nervous system to slow down so that you can feel it. But great conversation on what does a stress response feel like? what do you go into? Do you go into fight, flight, freeze, or a combo? Or faint? We can't forget faint. Pick a word. Pick a timeout, safe. I don't care what the word is. Work on honoring it, but then make sure that you come back to the conversation. Otherwise, it won't work the next time.
Correct.
So much info tonight.
Right. All right. So
Brad stress claims he does.
I'm so watching this happen. Perfect. We will be with you after bed too.
So this is one that, like, this is probably one of the things that I think helps every couple I work with when you start really looking at the stress response as, how is this playing out in our relationship? How is this playing out in all of our relationships?
Right.
Could be in the workplace. So if you start to open up the dialogue, I think it can really make a difference. And maybe you fail at round one and someone doesn't honor the timeout. Have a conversation about it and see if you can do it again.
Right.
And try it a different way.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is an awesome, I think, little tidbit of how we kind of run things. So if you enjoyed it all, what you kind of got here, we are offering our February 15th and 16th Idaho Falls retreat. So you don't have to just be from Idaho Falls, but it was intended to be
travel
handy for more local people. We're doing it at the Marriott Residence Inn here in town. And so if you want to get a room, you sure could. But what we do is we run through 12 different topics over 2 days, just like this. And we kind of give you the same introduction we did today in this video about each of those topics. And we give you assignments for you and your partner to kind of go do individually. Individually as a couple, let me put it that way.
Right.
And so you go and have the privacy to kind of talk about, what is my stress response? You know, like, oh, so that's what you're doing. Like, you're having a hard time breathing, and that's why you start to look like that, or that's why your nostrils flare, right? Whatever it is. So, yeah, this is how we like to help couples kind of find ways to connect. Is we go about this in a step-by-step process and just little bits at a time, and we just create opportunities for connection. So. Registration for that closes the beginning, I think, February 1st. Yeah, so we're closing for that. If you're interested in that, our website is thethriving-relationship.com. If you want to go to that retreat specifically, thethriving-relationship.com/IF retreat.
Well done.
Yeah, I know, I'm getting really good at this. It's a mouthful.
Yes.
And
please share this. I mean, stress response is so important to understand and can really help people. So please feel free to always share our videos. We love when we get little shares and likes.
Yeah. So yeah. Anything else we wanted to cover tonight?
No, you can always message us if you have any topics. We'd love to hear from you so that we can chat about something that you're interested in. Otherwise, we always seem to come up with something.
Yep, the week always provides new material.
It does. Personalized.
Right, one way or another.
Right.
All right, everybody. Thank you for spending some time with us. And if not before next Tuesday, we should see you next Tuesday. Bye.